we have our next session, that is Fireside Chat, from Idea to Triumph, crafting a Femtech success story with Shailja Dixit, President and CEO of Curio Digital Therapeutics. She's joining us from USA. Can we all give her a huge round of applause, everyone? Thank you. Now, I may call upon the host of this chat, Reenita Das, a global leader in healthcare and lead conference advisory board member, on the stage, please. Can we have you on the stage? Can we all give her a huge round of applause, everyone?
Thank you, everyone. It's indeed my pleasure to be having a fireside chat with Shailja. Shailja, how are you doing? Are you feeling better? I know it must be 6 a.m. in the morning for you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Reenita, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be there for this amazing, wonderful conference. As I said, I came back from another conference, and I think that was bad planning on my part, and felt like sick. So I have COVID, but didn't test yet, but very COVID-like symptoms and flu. So sorry about that, but I'm sure it's going amazing, and kudos to the whole team for hosting this amazing conference, so much needed.
Well, we'll be back next year again, so for sure you have to make it next year. Anyway, Shailja and I have known each other for quite a few years, since she started Curio 3 years ago. She's a seasoned healthcare professional, she's a clinician, she's a pharmaceutical executive, she's worked in consulting, in big pharma. She's had a wide career span across all different sides of the ecosystem. She's also been named top 2023 Entrepreneur of the Year. She's got the award by Ernst & Young. She's got various other awards that I can't even list and go through. Most notably, your results for your clinical trial just came out, and I saw the results, and I was so excited because this is the first time we're actually looking at outcomes from a mental health perspective, and we can talk about that a little later. What I want you to do, Shailja, is really for you to tell us a little bit about how you have taken Curio Digital from a small startup company today to becoming literally a global brand in mental health, in digital therapeutics. How did you do that? What motivated you? What kind of grit, as you call it, did you use during this process? Tell us everything. We have a lot of companies, young innovators here who want to learn from you.
So thanks, Reenita, again for allowing me to share that. I think we are still, not done with our journey, right? Because this journey is definitely not an easy one, but an exciting one, I can say that. So we started, as you said, about slightly over 3 years now, May 2020. I am, by definition, not a classical entrepreneur. I'm a physician by training, trained initially in India and then trained in US, did my MBA, MPH, and was in big pharma, for quite some time. The journey for Curio, or how Curio came to be what it is actually not a journey of a physician, is not a journey of a corporate person. It's actually a journey of a mom. When I had my child, I had a high degree of postpartum anxiety. Being a physician, I was in leadership position at GE Healthcare. I had a huge amount of stigma just to acknowledge that I was suffering. So as a result, I never looked for any help. And it was very clear to me that if I, who know the repercussion of this, is not acknowledging, how many more women out there are suffering? And that's where the Curio journey started. We decided to bring together the digital, the power of digital, and our knowledge and know-how about clinical aspect to create a digital-first approach for women's health, and also focusing a lot on mental health. So we call a mind-body connection. We do talk about overall women's health, but we also focus a lot in our product on mental health. So that's Curio's journey. You asked about a lot of glitches. Of course, I tell my team that every day when we are in the office, when we are in the corporate sector, it's humanly impossible to take every decision that's right. But what we are going to do is we will make decisions which are data-based, data driven, and we are going to be passionate about what we do, and then we'll get it right eventually. So many glitches, I started this and then COVID happened. I had to, as a small company, I've invested in a physical office because physical office, believe it or not, was still a thing then, and then I had to just let go that office, had to hire the entire team remotely, had to raise my money remotely. It was a lot of like challenges. May seem okay today because the new entrepreneurs who may be coming in last 1 year or so, we all got so used to doing everything virtually. But you know this, Reenita, that 3.5, 4 years back, raising money virtually, attending conferences virtually was not something that we used to do. Yeah, we were using technology, but not to the extent that we all have become pretty used to doing today. So there were a lot of challenges that were unfortunately happening because of external environment, and we also pivoted in our thinking many times as we went through this. So don't be scared. That's what I tell every entrepreneur. If you have to pivot, just be very nimble, be very agile, be very resilient as you're going through this journey, and be ready for all of those things. So that's our story. We have raised our Series A, launched in US now. You saw the results of our FDA study. I think I can very proudly say my team, we are the largest data set and clinical evidence when it comes to women's mental health today globally, and that's what I think we are being recognized for. We are launching in Europe soon in end of Q1, Q2. We have applied for CE mark, and I'm very proud to say that we are launching in India because we realize that how important Indian market is, how big an unmet need it is. So, kudos for you and your team to raising a spotlight on the needs for women's health, and we are actually in process of launching in India as well.
Wonderful. Tell me a little bit about India, because obviously a product in the US, you can't just transport to India, right? There are a lot of cultural differences. There's a lot of taboos around mental health, as you probably know, in this part of the world. So how did you go about looking at it from a cultural point of view, and how did you change the positioning, branding, or whatever you did? I don't know what you did, but what did you do so that people can understand that we can take products from country to country, and what we need to do to be able to make that possible?
Absolutely, very well said. So I think the first most important thing is, and this is India, but as you said, applicable anywhere, right? The good thing is, and thank God, 80% of the science remains same all across the globe, right? We are all, driven by evidence and data. What that makes is the 80% science part remains same, right? Not 20% very important culture part, how those clinical guidelines are applied locally are very different from country to country, specifically when we are talking about US or Western world to India. So we studied the market. One of the very major takeaway was that if there is, on a scale of 10, a stigma of, let's say, 6 in US or 7 in US, the stigma in India still is around 10 or maybe even 11. So we cannot launch a product as is. It's very difficult. I mean, I tell this example that when a baby is born, close your eyes and think, have you seen any advertisement that talks about a crying baby? Every baby is that beautiful chubby baby which is happy. But guess what? And we all know that. I'm sure in audience there are a lot of women. That's not the story for most of us. I did not have my hair done the way I see in those advertisements. My baby was not smiling all the time. Unfortunately, he was a colicky baby, so it's not that easy a journey. And we don't talk about the human aspect of this whole journey in any culture, but more so in India today. So what we did was, we have launched in India a product that's not just focuses on physical health, but actually talks about mental health, but it talks about physical health first, and then we talk about mental health. So we ease a woman into talking about, hey, you know that during pregnancy and fertility and perimenopause, there are changes happening. Our flagship product is for pregnancy, and then we are looking at fertility and perimenopause, menopause too. But there are aspects. Brain is a very important organ as well, and there are things that are happening there too. So you need to take care about your mental health as well. So in India, we talk about both aspects and ease a woman into the topic of mental health, rather than say, I think you have an anxiety, depression problem and you need help, and here are some tools for you to help or take care. Another thing that we did was, although I'm fully aware that digital penetration and adoption in India is way more than any other country, way more than US, which is amazing. This is why digital tools make a lot of sense in India, even more anywhere else. But one very important thing is that we realize that human touch, more than anything in India, is still needed. We still have that aspect where we want to talk to our physician, meet our physician, establish a connect with our physician. So we also have a human component incorporated in our platform. So we call it high tech and impactful touch, right? It's not just high touch, but rather an impactful and meaningful touch. So we do have a human touch aspect included in our platform as well. So those are a few of the main things that we did. And of course, all of the language and cultural adaptation of our product has been done as well. That goes without saying. So that was a difference in our positioning, how we did. It took us 1 year to understand, despite the fact that our product was ready, before we could bring it to India.
Fantastic. What a fantastic journey to build a global brand. Congratulations. Let's talk a little bit about how you go about acquiring clients. In India, as you probably know, there's a huge barrier to access and affordability and cost for healthcare. How do you overcome that? What kind of business models are you using? If you can talk a little bit about that. I mean, we've heard so much this whole day about the access issue, that 80% of women are actually in rural areas, the actual women who need help, and we are only a small 20% of us in tier 1, tier 2 cities. So where is this product currently? What is the goals of eventually getting to the 80%, if it would be at some point along the road? Just share with me whatever you can at this point in your journey.
Yeah, Rita, it would be a disservice from our side if we ignore that 80% of the women, right? Because I truly believe that if anywhere the standardization of care, and via a digital can have an impact, that's actually those areas where women have least access to the care, right? So we, although still small, but I think mighty, team has taken a challenge. We are launching in India, believe it or not, in rural areas too. So we are actually in discussion with 2 major states in India, and we will be launching. The difference here is that I think there is a disparity still in scientific or medical understanding in that population, right? So we can't just say that, oh, if I go and start talking about this is a clinical evidence-based randomized controlled study conducted platform we are bringing to you, that's not something that will resonate. So we took another pivot, right? So we, rather than giving it in hand of every end user, which we would love to do at one point of time, we are actually enabling it in the hands of community workers, ASHA workers, and so on. So we are in discussion about how we will design that. Should we first do a pilot, or should we do a full rollout and whatnot? But definitely that's something that we are working very hard towards. This is why I was supposed to be in India to meet you, and then those couple of states. Unfortunately, now that will be moved out for a few weeks till I can make it happen. But yeah, we are doing that right now as we speak. And looking at many states, and those 80% of the women who I passionately believe do need care. This is very parallel to our approach in US. Believe it or not, even in US, there are a lot of women who don't have access to care. It may sound odd for many people that, really, US has that issue as well? But yes, it does exist. There are many women here in rural areas. About 65% of counties in US don't have access to proper trained mental health providers, for example. This may be alarm to many people, but that's a fact. So in US also we have taken what we call Medicaid population, which is funded by state. So we have taken a challenge overall and vision of our company to not ignore those women who are going to be benefited by such tools the most.
Very, very noble. I mean, that's really where we should be making a difference in the world for women today. So it's fabulous. As my last question, do you have any messages that you want to give to aspiring young women here in India who want to embark on a journey of innovation, who are an entrepreneur? Just anything that you want to share with them in terms of what they need to be aware for obstacles and how to overcome that?
So I think first of all, I say we need more on the table, right? Please don't be scared to, start your journey. It's really, really important. If you don't have more on the table, just talking will not have an impact. So we all have to make sure that we do start our journey. There are a lot of obstacles. I mean, this is, I'm sure, not at all something I'm sharing new. Only 2%, less than 2% funding goes to women entrepreneurs. And I often talk here, I lead a South Asian women entrepreneur group here in the US. That number for South Asian is actually not even existing. Maybe we are rounding error, I don't know, in that 2%, right? So we definitely need many more South Asian women who decide to have an entrepreneur journey and do that. Because when more come, then I think investor community also starts giving a focus to this group of women entrepreneurs. So that's, I think, one thing I'll say. But don't undermine the the hurdles you will take. But it's fun. I can assure you, it's a lot of fun going through those hurdles as well. Because which journey was ever an easy journey? It's not an easy journey. Make sure. Gritty becomes your middle name. It's really important. But if you have to have an impact, you have to take that. Somebody has to do that. India is also at a very interesting point with so many startup ecosystem, now developing, right? I mean, it's still at the cusp of getting to its prime, if I may say. So that's the good thing. So think about it when the overall growth of VC and startups is happening in India, and if we can see more and more women coming in that cohort as well, how wonderful that would be. Because US missed that, right? I mean, here still there are not many women, and now there is a deliberate, conscious effort that let more women come and become entrepreneurs.
No, very, very true. We all have to dare. I think that's something that's missing from a woman's vocabulary, to dare. And so I think we really need to start daring, and we don't have anything to lose. If we didn't get the money, we didn't get the money. But at least we can dare to ask for the money, whatever that might be. We'll still be in the same position, but there will be no loss for anyone. I wanted to open this up to the audience. If there's any questions from anyone in the audience for Shailja. She's out of Washington, right? That's where you are?
I'm based in Princeton, New Jersey.
Princeton.
New Jersey, New York.
Yeah.
Very close to New York, yeah.
Any questions from anyone? No, I think there are no questions. Oh, okay, you had a question. Do you want to give her a mic? There's one question for you. Just hold on.
Hi, I'm Monica. My venture is Reviva, and we started our venture 1.5 years back. We wanted to bridge the gap of cancer rehabilitation, and mostly our patients are women. Like 80% of our patients are women. As you said, and we all agree that 80% of the population in India are in rural area. Now my venture provides physical and emotional rehabilitation to this woman. How do you think I can reach all these women who are in the rural area? What should be my approach?
Yeah, so kudos to you for doing that. Definitely cancer rehab physical and emotional is such a big thing, you know. Unfortunately, many don't realize a woman who, and we are seeing this more and more, is a breast cancer survivor, goes into menopause early on because of the chemotherapy and many more things. There is such a big stigma that she goes through, the emotional health that she goes through, many problems, and they need support. Sometimes there is chemical support or clinical support because, okay, treatment is available, but many more things are missing. So kudos for you to doing that. One vehicle that I can share my story, but maybe there are many more models, so I can tell about what we are trying to do. We are trying to work with actually government, in those areas, because as you know, affordability in that population is also, they are very price sensitive. So there is some kind of help that subsidization that government has to provide. Another thing is that government has many programs, so we are trying to weave into one of the programs that government already has. So that's how we are actually enabling the access, taking care of actually ASHA workers, the foot on the ground workers, because they are the one. If I'm coming from New Jersey and I go to a rural area anywhere in India, let's say, they're not gonna trust me. It's just impossible. So we are taking care of actually the community workers. It's totally opposite in urban areas, as you know. If I say that I have all of this data, this is made by an expert from Harvard Medical School who are on our panel, right? You say like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. I mean, it must have a lot of good evidence, and I'm gonna look at it. Opposite, in rural areas, that doesn't mean anything for somebody sitting in rural area, but a community worker who they trust. So you need to find out who are the influencers, who are the people these women trust, and make them, empower them, make them as a vehicle to convey your message and access.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the only way. If you want to go to rural areas, you'll have to go through the government and the community workers. And I think the work that you're talking about for cancer, I think it's so important, because already when rural women have cancer, especially breast cancer, they're like stigmatized outside of society, especially if they have a mastectomy or something. They're completely on the outcasts of society. So there's so much that has to be done in terms of education as well, not just for the woman, but for the family and the support structure, because very often she's thrown out of the house as well. I've heard terrible stories of what is happening in many parts of India with regard to breast cancer in rural areas. So I think what you're doing is fantastic, but I think you'll have to work with the local community. Wonderful, Shailja. I hope you feel better. Thank you so much for doing this. Even though it's been 6 a.m. in the morning, your dedication to this area is fabulous. I look forward to meeting you again in person, maybe in another conference, and I hope you get well soon. Thank you again. Let's give a round of applause to her.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks. Thanks.
Right. Thank you so much. That was really informative session.